What's up, everybody? It's your boy Trax on a beautiful Thursday, a thirsty Thursday with my boy Darius. First
Yes,
time we've
sir.
been together in the building. How you doing, Darius?
Oh, all is well. All is well. How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good, man. Appreciate to be on the podcast with you. First and foremost, man, it's been a while,
True
and
indeed.
actually the first time since we've been able to really chop it up. So, a couple guys that you might not, well, you're looking for obviously
Uh-huh.
is BJ. He was unable to make it,
Yeah.
and Q was unable to make it, and Pinky Leroy Pinky Pinkston, he was
Yeah.
unable to make it. But you know what? Like it's like Darius said to me earlier before we were on the show, man, it takes two. So we're here.
Yeah.
It takes two to make a thing go right, right?
That's right. That's right. Shout
Jay
out to them
Jay Z,
guys, man. Shout out to them guys. I'm sure you know what I'm saying it's with good reason
yeah,
they're not here. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
they
But we're
got
gonna hold
stuff
it
going
down
on.
for them. We're gonna hold it down. We're
Yeah,
gonna hold it together for them.
right, exactly. We got this. Like DJ Jazzy Jeff said, it takes two to make a thing go right, man.
Oh, that's
So
Rob Bass and Easy Rock, baby.
Rob Bass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
said
yeah,
Easy
yeah.
Rock.
Easy Rock, yeah. So you know what the deal is. So basically what we're gonna talk about tonight is, well, let's pull it up. We got a little advertisement on tonight. Yeah, so both Caleb and Kyle, can they have a huge season? I mean, dude, seriously, think about this for a minute. I mean, let's marinate on this, bro. You look at freaking the way Kyle handled business yesterday or last year. He
Yeah,
was
like
unbelievable. He was unbelievable, man. Spider-Man was all over the place. We already know that like we run a 4-3, but 62, 63%, something like that in the 60s percentage, you're already in sub packages
yeah.
because teams like to run triples, triples, fours. They like to run a lot of receivers. It's a pass happy league. So you already know what the deal is. And Kyler Gordon is notorious for making them tackles and hitting it hard and going up and doing, the dirty work that he has to do.
Uh-huh.
Now, as far as Caleb goes, bro, I've been looking at him. I've been
Mm-hmm.
listening to everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, this guy likes to work. He likes to put in the time, he likes to put in the attention, and he likes to put in the detail, and he likes to get people involved. And it sounds like to me like even during this time, the downtime, he's going to use it to his benefit to keep, moving forward. Like honestly, I think he's going to spend a lot of time, and this is kind of what Shane Waldron was talking about. He was saying that this is the time right now, like you could, but you don't necessarily should take the time off
Yeah.
to, chillax. He's
Yeah.
like, everything that he's learned from this point forward, all this work and the
Mm-hmm.
preparation and all this, he's got to pay it forward and use this in the classroom, in the film room, and like dial himself in and take it to the next level. Because right after this, it's like a fast moving clock. You know what I mean? It ain't going to slow down for this kid. And the best way for him to prepare or to get ready for this is to prepare. So let me hear what you got to say, man. Let's unpack some of these bags for these fellas out here, man. Especially shout out to everybody out here tonight that's in the building. Thank you. Please hit that like, subscribe button. Y'all know what to do. Hit the 5-star review, man. Thank you everybody for coming out. And Darius, hey man, thank you for being here, bro. So what do you got to say about all this, man? Can Caleb and Kyler make that, that huge step, that adjustment? That's what our defense and offense needs this year, bro.
All right, before I start off, What's up? What's up, Dustin? Shout out to Dustin. He giving us a shout out.
Okay.
I'm gonna start out with I'm gonna start out with Kyler because Caleb, I have a little bit more to say about him. But I keep it short and sweet with Kyler. A lot of NFL offenses now, they all start off with three receivers. So a nickel has become has become the base package of the league instead of just a standard 4-3 or two corner, two safety sets. The nickel is now the base because, like you said before, it's a pass happy league.
Yes.
A lot of people don't talk about the importance of Kyler Gordon's the position, the nickel position, period. Not just him, but just the nickel position in his defense. It's just as important as the three tech and just as important as the edge rushers, because he's going to be responsible, for covering, his section of the field and also bringing that blitz off the edge, off the corner. When they send the blitz, they're going to blitz the corner, blitz the nickel. And if you remember, in a lot of when we ran the cover two with Lovey, those big plays came from that nickel position.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Like that. A lot of those came from that position. But with his athletic ability, he has nice size, pretty good technique. His technique has gotten better since his rookie year. But I just hope he maintains his availability. That's been the main thing with him. He gets those soft tissue injuries. A lot of those athletic guys tend to get those injuries, man. Being super athletic like he is a wonderful gift, but the curse is they have a lot of those soft tissue injuries, which, keeps guys out of the lineup.
Bro, those backflips and everything that he does,
Yeah.
when he's all looking like he's, Spider-Man and all that. I mean, I talked to his mama, dude. It's pretty cool, man, because that's the special thing about the internet. Like, you can reach out, you can look out, you can do a deep dive, whatever, and you never know what's going to pop up. I talked to her. He was actually in ballet back in the day, bro. And this guy, or was it gymnastics? I don't know. I don't want to speak on somebody's life. I think it was gymnastics. It might have been both.
No, he was a dancer. I mean, ballet or whatever it was, but he's pretty nimble on his feet, and whatever he was doing earlier, it works for him.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate you, but and here's the deal. It is amazing to see this guy even before the show what he can do. You know what I'm saying? Because remember back in the day when we used to ooh and ah over who was that? Who was that jumped up? Was that Refrigerator Perry that jumped up on the table or something?
Oh,
yeah. So and then we had the one guy that jumped out of the
pool, Jerron Gilbert.
Jumped out of the swimming pool. I mean, none of that stuff really spills out into translation of football, but you never know what could possibly happen. You look at that, that's your mile marker, right? Because that's something you don't hear every day, whatever. And I just think it's really cool, man, that this guy is, and he was the most improved player last year. He was ridiculous, man. His stats were off the chain, bro. And I really appreciate him and his work ethic and what he does. And I'll be honest with you, he really likes to be a corner. He will handle, that nickel, whatever they throw at him. I bet you, Darius, if they wanted him to be a safety, he would go ahead and tackle that and handle that. But I mean, they want him to be a nickel, and he's taking care of that. There was actually, who was that safe or there was a corner we had not too long ago that tackled really well. He went over to Denver, and I kind of look at him in a similar sense of skill set and whatever. Really, if you're handling that nickel, you got to be able to tackle well the receivers especially them big ass tight ends, bro. So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really excited about this guy, man. I think he's a prove it year. He's got to get that contract in. He knows JJ just got paid, and he knows that our the Bears, as far as Poles is concerned, he's going to pay whoever is there that's doing their due diligence and putting in that hard work. He knows that it's going to pay off in the end. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see what happens. But there is a significant pay adjustment when it comes down to whether you, and I don't know why, and I hope at some time that they get this figured out. But for whatever reason, Darius, I've heard that the cost of a guy that is a nickel versus a regular corner is significant when it comes terms of pay and stuff. So I hope they get that figured out, especially when, like they are saying, 62 or something percent of the time in the high 60s we're in sub packages. So that's a lot, brother. You know what I mean?
Now I think that percentage is going to rise up. That 62 or mid 60s percent in those packages. I think it's going to rate the more the game evolves, the more that number is going to raise up higher.
Yes, sir.
It's going to
I like your hat. I like your hat, by the way, man. And that's a nice flag you got behind you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Where'd you get that flag at, man?
It was a gift, man. It was a gift, man. They didn't tell me where it came from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For
being
on the podcast or something? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man.
And but back to what you were saying about the pay between the nickel and the outside corner. It's gonna take the right person, the right player to make the right impact to change that, because like I said, as the game evolves, that percentage is gonna go up to probably like in the high 70s. Because like I said, if you watch most teams, three wide outs are, that's the base package for most offenses. Therefore the nickel is gonna be the base defense.
Bro, and I'm gonna tell you, when you do that, you're already setting your team up. You're like, okay, well, let's pull that linebacker off, right? Let's get a guy that's got some hands, that's got some speed, because we got to match him up with a receiver. Because I'm sorry, if you're running a 4.8, whatever, as a linebacker, which there ain't that many out there. They're all fast. Right. Everybody's fast. Even the freaking linemen are fast, okay? Yeah. So, but what I'm getting at is if you have a guy out of scheme that is not as fast as your receiver, forget about it, bro. You didn't do your job. What I'm getting at. So that's the whole thing about it is, and that Kyler, man, he's gonna let you remember that you didn't do your due diligence in scheming for him, because he is ready, bro. He is ready.
People don't understand the fact that Kyler comes from he comes from a great university full of cornerbacks. They produce excellent cornerbacks that come into the league.
And to piggyback off of what you just said, you just heard recently, everybody heard recently about the receiver that we've got, Rome. Rome said that he is basically ready and looking forward to beating that rookie record that was set by his former Washington alumni. That now, doesn't that guy play for the Chiefs?
Puka Nacua. He plays for the Rams.
The Rams. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Rams. And basically, dude, that guy, he made us forget about Kyler Cup, bro. And Cooper that Cup, is a dude. Yeah, Cooper Cup. Yeah. If you forget about Cooper Cup, you're doing a job, bro. Because the year before, Cooper Cup was all over the place. Man.
Actually, Cooper Cup has always been one of my top guys when I play fantasy football. He's always one of the first guys I choose.
Hey,
because I know for a fact that him and Matthew Stafford have an excellent rapport. You know what I mean?
Hey,
and you know where that ball's going.
oh, dude, you know what? And he's on point too. He looks for who is available, and you're open, and you're gonna catch that ball. He's like Rod. He reminds me not okay. Don't get it twisted. It's not the same. Okay, I'm just saying. Like when he gets comfortable with receivers and they catch it, he's gonna be looking at you. He's gonna be looking at you. He's gonna be tracking. But if you're not there and you're not doing your due diligence and not catching the ball, he's gonna forget, and that's where Puka stood out, because for a while there, Kupp honestly I think he was injured, if I'm not mistaken.
He was.
Because I was looking at him and his fantasy, back again to fantasy. Hey, and if you're interested, speaking of which, we got an open spot for our podcast group, 3rd year running, for it's only $50. I think like top payouts $350, whatever. Third place is $50. So we'll talk about it later. But I always donate because I don't know who the hell. I had too many freaking Bears on my team last year. So whenever we had that bye week, dude, I was forget about it, man. I freaking lost it.
That's one thing about fantasy. Hopefully it'll change. Well, I'm sure that it'll change this season. Last couple of years, we haven't been really been hot on the fantasy football tip as far as the team offense.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true.
But going back to Kyler Gordon.
Yeah, let's do that.
Like I said before, he comes from pretty good stock over there at University of Washington. They produce great NFL players. And
might have been, dude.
He's excellent in space. He has length, and he has pretty good technique. So I think he's due for a great year if he can stay on the field. And he plays an impact position. When it comes down to Caleb Williams, I never got the whole Hollywood thing that people try to put on him. This kid, from what I understand, has always been a grinder. He's always been a worker. He tells a story that when he was younger, he started out, I think, playing running back or something like that. But once he's decided to take the game serious, he decided that he wanted to be a quarterback. His father put him in position, to be a quarterback, and not only be a quarterback, but be a first-round pick. This was a desire of his, and he worked all the way up into it. So this little break he has, I don't expect anything less. I think he's going to stay in the playbook. I think he's going to be prepared come training camp. And, I think once the season comes, he's going to already be prepared. I think he's a grinder, man.
Yeah, I do too. And honest to God's truth, I think he's really going to surprise a lot. Honestly, when I've listened to people, even on our podcast, I've been shocked at how much he flies under the radar and his name doesn't come up, bro. Because honestly, who gets the recognition? And hey, that doesn't take away from the people that have the recognition, and that doesn't take away from the people that give the recognition to where that's due. But there are some people that are doing some things that are off the radar. And the greatest thing about my boy Kyler is he loves flying under the radar. He's not like chirping like, hey, man, come, blah, 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 hear this, hear that. Not that I don't like that, but what's cool is that his game outmatches his talk. You know what I'm saying? And right now, I think that's like the part of his life. Right now, the part of his life that he's in, the season that he's in, is where he needs to be. If he was chirping louder than his game, then we might have a problem. And I remember when we had Tressman, and there were some crazy numbers coming up. And I love Lance. Lance Briggs is a dog, bro. Yeah. He's one of my all-time favorite Bears. But when we started out 5-0, freaking he started chirping about how, 85 Bears and this and that. And I'm like, oh, dog, come on, man. Chill out with that, dude. Because now people are going to start circling us on their freaking calendars, man. We're back on the radar, right? Yeah. Before that, we were flying under the radar. Nobody freaking thought about us. Nobody game planned about us. it was just one of them things. And now all of a sudden he's drawing attention. What happened next? And I'm not putting this all on him. I'm just saying talk is talk. So once you put that out there, you got to freaking, you've got to deliver. After that, we ended up 8-8 for the season.
8-8,
we won three games, bro.
Yeah.
3 games out of the next freaking 11. I'm like, come on, man. And so I'm worried about that. I'm worried about that, Darius. And I think I don't know. It that concerns me. That concerns me. That kind of stuff.
I'm not overly concerned about that because my thing is this. All right, if you prepare properly and do what's necessary as far as the work, then you're going to see results.
I like that. I like that.
There's nothing wrong with being confident, and there's nothing wrong with having a little bit of cockiness. You know what I mean? But you have to have your mind prepared week after week to understand, what that brings. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're gonna talk the talk, like they say, if you're gonna talk the talk, you gotta be able to walk the walk. So, the more you tweeting and the more you putting things out there for people to see, you gotta understand that week to week, you're gonna put a target on the team and on yourself. And as a competitor, you should be all right. We should be prepared for that anyway. Because you ain't coming out here to make friends for these, for these 4 quarters. You coming out there to go to war. And after the game, whatever the outcome may be, we're going to shake hands, but we got to go be prepared for next week.
Yeah, no, you know what? I believe that. And it's all like hit or miss. It all depends on what's going on and the whole ebb and flow of things. But if you're riding high, you better ready to get slapped down once you start talking about that. So you got to be ready to switch it up. Like there's got to be another gear. You can't be at the top gear and say, let's go. And then everybody's like, all right, let's go. What you got? And then now they match your level of intensity and then you lose and, you're 3-11. So my whole thing is like, man, I don't know what it is about this Caleb. I can't explain it. But I just feel like the way he handles stuff, like his I wouldn't say arrogance, and I wouldn't say cocky or nothing. Like the way
he's confident. It's confident.
Yes.
And we need
what's
that here. We need that here, man.
And it's not even just about his confidence. Like it is because now you listen to guys like Rome. Rome is like basically kind of like, I wouldn't say modeling, but it almost seems like he's inner channeling, his like confident Caleb side of himself because he's coming out and he's like, bro, I'm ready to freaking, break Puka's record, and stuff like that. And I'm like, cool, dude. That's great. You know what I mean? Like, let's have at it. Let's see what you can do. Let's see what you can got. You know what I mean? And honestly, I know we're not in all 31 other teams, but you don't hear that a whole lot. We're not even in the HBO stuff yet, man. This is like some local stuff that we're hearing that's just kind of like seeping out. It's cool, man. Like we're cool. But dude, we're not even starting the season, and we're like right now, you and I are having a good time. We're able to talk to our peeps and all this, and this is fun, man. I've been missing this.
But this is the impact. This is the impact of a guy like Caleb coming on your team. We haven't had this. We haven't had a player, as highly touted as Caleb Williams, and then for him to come in with the reputation of being Hollywood and all this other stuff. But now people are seeing, that confidence is infectious, man. And if you had a confidence and then you put the work on the confidence and it's going to bring out great results. And see, those results that it brings only raise the confidence of everyone else.
Well, and you know what else too? Correct me if I'm wrong, but certain people have that vibe where they feel like they're confident about themselves. But other people with their confidence, they don't just galvanize themselves, but they galvanize the whole team around them. And like they bring out that confidence that they have in their team and all that kind of stuff. And when you're hanging out there, I wish you were closer, bro, because you know you and I'd already be at it, chopping it up. But what I'm getting at right here, bro, is if you're out here doing this, you're going out to sport events, cookouts, whatever, that in and of itself, it's like, how come we ain't doing that? How come we ain't doing that here? What's going on? Are we cool? We good? You know, like, hey, and he's not competing. He's just like legit, like that's who he is, man. It's so cool. It's so good, man. I really like it. And honestly, the last, and you already know how we've like chopped it up on this show, and we've had people come on, whatever, like almost modern, soon to be modern, as we broke some news earlier, you know. But like, dude, the last time we really heard of a leader like this at quarterback who was around the team and was infectious and all this and that was Jimmy Mack, bro.
Absolutely.
Jimmy Mack was, and you know how that is. And I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to Lance Brigg this show, but you know what I'm saying. It's cool, dude. It's cool.
Listen, look, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been so long, and we needed someone like this. Now, Jay is my favorite Chicago Bears quarterback for right now. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, Jay.
What he brought to he couldn't bring that to the team because he was so into himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? His confidence, it looked like cockiness because to most people it seemed like it was all about him. You know what I mean? So that didn't translate to nobody but Brandon Marshall.
For sure.
Brandon Marshall was the only one that understood him.
Yes.
But see, Caleb is making an effort to spread himself around through everybody. From the vets to the guys that may not even make the squad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the type of leadership we need here. It has to start somewhere. And if it's starting with him, you know, what better place?
Well, and you know, also too, like communication is key. Communication is vital. When it breaks down, things don't make sense. So make it make sense.
Well, let me stop you 1 second. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
But how you communicate is the biggest thing. You know, the way you communicate. Because you're not in college, you're not at the lower levels anymore. You're at the top of the top. So therefore, you know, the way you communicate with the guys at USC and at Gonzaga High School in DC it can't be the same way that you can communicate with these NFL guys, these NFL guys.
Right.
So it's the way you do it, and I think he has a great understanding of it because from what I understand, he's surrounded by a great team that's kind of, you know, bringing him along on how to be a pro.
Yeah. No, you're right, and he does a good job. I really truly appreciate that, and I mean, really, like he breaks down all of those like questions because like everybody was speaking on his life and who he was and what was going on and blah 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 and whatever, and then he's just like, listen, I'm gonna jump ahead of all of this. I'm gonna go to a Cubs game. I'm gonna go to a Sox game. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go to a Sky game. I'm gonna be, you know, throwing darts and stuff. And you know what? He ain't calling people up and saying, "Hey, I need y'all to meet me at this park and whatever and this and that." It's just like they're following him, man. It's like everywhere he goes, they're following him. Just like when Poles rolled up 3 years ago and he was in the parking lot and it was like dark 30 at like freaking 4:30 in the morning. And he's just like parking in his parking spot in the first time ever. And they're like, they got like freaking night vision and like taking pictures of him getting out of his damn car. It's like, come on, man, let me breathe, you know? But like when you are in your spot and you're doing what you're supposed to do, get to that spot, fellas. If anybody's listening to us and hearing us out today, be like Caleb. Be like somebody else that is in that spot and doing what you do, because attitude and attendance is what freaking rules this whole world right now. You got to be in the spot, have a good attitude and attendance, show up, be about it, and make sure you're there for the team and fill in the gaps. And don't worry about if a guy ain't doing what you're. If you do your job to the best of your ability, be your brother's keeper, take care of his six, look after him, have his back. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be about all that. Listen, I'll tell you right now, with our podcast last night, it might have not happened. There was some situations that are unspeakable, but guess what? We had 2 dudes in the building. Tonight, we got 2 dudes in the building. Sometimes we'll have 3, sometimes we'll have 4, sometimes we'll have 5, sometimes we'll have Jimmy Mack or Tommy Harris or somebody sitting in front of you, and you're like, oh my God, grab the popcorn. You know what I'm saying? But if you are in your spot and you're taking care of business and you're handling business, it is infectious and people love that.
Yeah.
Eat it up, bro. Like, I'm telling you, man, that's where it's at. And that's why a lot of people, he's breaking down walls right now. They were like, oh, it's going to be till like next year where Caleb's going to take over the locker room and he's going to gain respect over the locker room. It doesn't take that long, bro. It doesn't take that long. And you stay consistent and you show up every day and you bring your game and you are making those communications that Darius was talking about earlier and being there and talking to the people and being genuine about stuff and just going after it and bringing your all and just going all in and being your brother's keeper, it can really, he can make up a lot of time, man. Yeah. Because if you're just worried about your little job, you're not a leader.
Nah.
You're not a leader. If you're just trying to survive, you're not leading. You're trying to survive, bro. Yeah. You're not putting out that freaking life raft to help dude freaking come on, you know. So it's very vital for all that to happen. And you know, Darius, what do you got to say about that, man?
Well, I mean, that's why the quarterback position is the most important position in professional sports, and that's why they get paid the way they do, because their impact has to be felt not just on the field, but in the film rooms, in the meeting rooms. That guy has to be the first one coming in and the last one to leave. He also, you know, he's looked to as, you know, like you said, his brother's keeper. It's his job to take care of those guys, you know, and it's their job to take care of him as well. But he's put in a position of leadership automatically, you know. Now, he doesn't have to be very vocal at all times, but, you know, you can also, there's other ways to lead. You can lead by example. And as long as if he's leading by example, meaning, you know, understanding the playbook, coming in early, leaving late, and these guys are seeing the results, it's going to make other guys want to do the same thing because you see the results. And, you know, listen, it's a results-based league. You're going to get paid off the results you produce.
Yeah.
You know,
dude, and I'll tell you, I mean, like, again, going back to the podcast, you ain't been on that long, but it feels like we're endeared to you because you came in, you filled in, you showed out. I mean, dude, like you just said, you've got people like sending you gifts already. Like, hey, man, you know, you're not going to speak on who it is or what the address is and be like, you know, next thing you know, my dumb ass like, hey, where'd that gift go? You know, but no, I'm kidding because I got this as a gift too. But my whole point is, man, it don't take long, man. Just get in your place, people. Just get in your place and do what you got to do, man.
Yeah,
if there's anything,
you have to, you know, you have to put yourself. You have. And you also have to walk in that. You have to walk in that lane. You have to walk in the respectable lane, first of all, you know, for people to give you the respect that's garnered. You know what I mean? You know, you can't go out here like as a quarterback, you know, respect to all the other positions on the football field. But as a quarterback off the field, you have to carry yourself in a totally different way. You can't carry yourself like the running backs and the wide receivers. You can't carry yourself like the corners and the safeties and the D linemen.
That's like a pitcher. Hey, Darius, not to cut you off, but that's just like a pitcher in the Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
You're not going to go like just show up for team practice and not throw 100 balls a day and get a catcher or throw it into a net or something and keep that arm juiced and be ready and whatever. You could go out and play left field. You could go out and play right field. You could play any position, and you don't have to like get dialed in and all that every day. But as far as a freaking quarterback, as far as a pitcher in Major League Baseball, you've got to be that dog, dude.
You have to.
Even when you're not, you've got to like fine tune all that and get yourself dialed in, and you got to put in the work, bro, because you already know that you are like the leader of the team. Like you are the guy that sets that tone, bro.
And a lot of those efforts it's not just mental or physical, it's emotional as well. Man.
Oh, what's up? What's up, Ed?
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show. We're just talking to Darius right now. We were just chopping it up, talking about leadership and whatnot, as far as Kyler. And right now we're talking about Caleb, breaking it down. So what were you saying, Darius?
As far as it's not just mentally and physically, there's an emotional quality to leadership as well, meaning that you have to be in tune with your emotions, where you can't underreact or overreact to certain things that's going on around you, especially in these days and times when people on social media or people with certain platforms can get on YouTube or wherever else and say what they want, get on social media and type what they want about you. Not saying that it's true or anything like that, but it's just what they perceive. Now it doesn't make it true or false, but the fact that people are able to put it out there, you as a quarterback, you have to be able to tune that stuff out. Your highs can't be too high and your lows can't be too low. And that's another thing that has to be that's another impact that has to be felt throughout the team. Because like you said, Briggs and them jumped out 5-0 and they thought, they thought it was on. But they ended up, being, at the end of the year, you 8-8 because you got too caught up in yourself.
Yeah.
So, that's another responsibility for the quarterback, man. You got to keep guys engaged, got to keep guys even keeled.
Yep. I totally know what you're talking about, and you're 100% right on that. What do you got to say about that, Ed? Is that basically what you got to do as far as leadership goes and whatnot?
Buddy, I was actually trying to find in the settings where I could turn my volume up here. When I jumped on the podcast, I lost a bunch of volume.
Sound good right now to us.
Actually, you just sounded louder. Okay. But no, so I wasn't really paying attention right there at the end, but I know you guys were talking about Caleb and how he's showing some good leadership skills so far. I haven't honestly seen enough of the coverage of it to have a good opinion myself.
Well, and I agree with you. There's not a full body of work, but what you can control is the body of work that's in front of you. You can't say and go toe to toe for somebody that said, "We ain't been here 10 years." Like, no. But if I was here 10 years and they're looking for a quarterback and I'm your quarterback, then I must have not done something right. So, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to get in the weeds and all that kind of stuff. You got to get in your spot, prove to who's around you that you could be there every time, and just increments, bit by bit, chip by chip, just be there in those spots and be there not just for yourself. And I'm not saying that somebody that's there just for themselves is self-absorbed. It's just like some people handle things in a different fashion, and that's how you find out what a true leader can and can't do. There is a book that I read by Tony Dungy called Quiet Strength. And I thought before Tony Dungy had that book written, that, the way that his leadership and the way that Lovey's leadership was completely like not as like, I don't know how to say it without being like, okay, so Ditka, right? Mike Ditka, and Buddy Ryan, the way that they led was way different than them two folks. So what I'm getting at is you can actually be a leader and be quiet, but I thought that you needed to be loud and be a leader. So there's different ways to handle this, but the way that Caleb is doing this is really cool because he's communicating to everybody, bro. Like everybody, not just his receivers, but his offensive linemen, everybody. It's good. It's a good way to start out. You know what I mean?
I mean, guys light up when they talk about him.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
you had a few guys that kind of sung Justin's praises as well, but this is different. This is totally different.
It is. You can see a difference.
This is totally
A lot of defensive players talking good about him, which right off the jump, which is kind of I'd say a little rare. This early in the game for quite a few defensive players to have a lot of good stuff to say about him. So I think that's a good sign.
Yeah, and it's guys on that other end of football that's really pushing him so he can be great for us. You know what I mean?
Iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
I mean,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, even outside of that, fellas, I mean, look, just because I put a crafty thumbnail together, couple pictures, whatever, woo-woo, put it out on YouTube, this doesn't mean that this has to be our offensive, guy that jumps out and our defensive guy that jumps out that really like takes the stage. Is there anybody else? Because I think we've pretty much well chopped it up in the last 42 about Caleb and Kyler and how well that they can really set the tone and be that for our team. Is there anybody else that you guys see? By the way, thank you for over 100 in the building. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for being here, man. Leave the 5-star review. You all know what to do. Thank you for guys being here with us, and taking the time, whatever. But is there anybody else outside of Kyler and Caleb that you see that can really make the difference and be this year's just like the guy that we basically need to, surround our team around?
I think, I'm glad you brought up Kyler because I don't think he's talked about enough. I don't think Kyler's talked about enough, but I'm glad you kind of pointed him out or singled him out, because everyone's talking about the 3 tech and the rush ends and even the corners, but Kyler's not mentioned nearly enough. But is there anybody else who I feel like impact can be felt or should be felt? I'm gonna go with. Listen, I mentioned Jaquan Brisker last week, and I think he needs to. I think he needs one of those. He needs to be one of those guys that has a excellent year this season. He's going to be counted on. He's going to be counted on because he frustrates me because he has a lot of ability, but I think he leaves a lot of plays on the field, but I think this year coming in surrounded by JJ and have Tyrese Stevenson having a great year, he should be motivated. He should be motivated to have a great season.
Tremaine Edmonds needs to step up too. He got paid a whole lot more than Edwards, and Edwards he had a lot better year.
Yeah, Tremaine had a slow start. I think he came in with like an injury, but he picked it up pretty good. But he's another guy that has to stay on the field.
Yeah, he's got to pick it up.
And you know what? It's kind of unfair because they work together as a team.
They do.
And I don't really quite understand where the systemic breakdown is from defensive line to offensive line, because they say right away, like, if we lose, Sweat, it's over. Like, cancel
Nah,
Christmas.
Well, that's not really true,
Our
but it'd
defense,
be a big.
whatever. But my point is, and you could see the difference between our defense between when he came on our team and before that. But
Yes, sir.
look at the offensive line. Where on that team would you see a Sweat type impact if that guy goes down? Because to me, that would be a guy that I would put in this whole like pool of like guy that has to have a good year in order to keep Caleb upright and healthy and our team moving forward as far as offense goes, And I'm gonna freaking bring in one of my boys on the offensive line since I played offensive line, and so gotta give our big uglies a little credit,
Absolutely. I mean, goes without saying that center position is big, man.
Yeah,
that center position is huge.
Are you guys still worried about that? Even though
I am, man. We passed up stud centers in the last 3 drafts.
You have to be worried about, especially with a rookie quarterback. That has to be a concern. It has to be. Not saying that we don't have a good one on the team, but it's just that we got 2 guys competing for it.
Facts. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right.
We that center's paramount. The center's paramount. And I've heard guys on past shows discuss this as well. They do a good job of discussing it. But us on Thursday night, we don't discuss that enough either.
Bro, that's almost like a freaking catcher or a pitcher without a catcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a guy that's just like got the glove out, and there's certain things like I didn't even realize this because like my uncle Jack Hyatt, he played for the Cubs back in the early 70s, and he was talking to me about like framing the pitch, and he's like, dude, you got to play like you got to have like your poker face and like your body positioning and everything's got to be as while your own freaking teammate is trying to take your freaking head off with this freaking 90-something mile an hour ball. And you're just like putting that glove out there and like strike, and it's like that wasn't a strike, but I ain't saying nothing because we got it, So my point is like, dude, it is so important to have that freaking center because he's hiking the ball to Caleb every time, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think we got 2 guys. I think we got 2 pretty good guys, but may the best man win.
Well, and here's my point, and I'm not taking any freaking, glory out of your guns, but here's the deal. What has happened in the past with the Bears that we've had 2 good quarterbacks?
Oh, anytime you have that, you don't have one.
You don't have one. So that's where my mind goes right away. And I'm not saying that you're not, accurate in whatever. I also know that Illinois guy that we've held on to for now 3-4 years. Yeah, what? Kramer. Yeah, Doug is still in the building. I thought he was gone. He's still there. So we got
he's still.
Yeah, I mean, the guys got to compete. Competition brings out the best, man.
Yeah.
Competition brings out the best in players. That's a fact.
How much do you think that Caleb weighs in as far as like something like that? Do you think they're like where it's just like 50-50 coin flip? Hey, Caleb, I like his hands underneath my butt a little bit more than the other guy. He just does things right. You know what I mean? Like, how much do you think that actually has something to do with it? Where like you go to your quarterback and like, or does that seem kind of weird? Like, why are we going to our quarterback? We should be able to handle this business.
It's not necessarily weird because, like you mentioned with the baseball reference, you have pitchers that have guys that they want catching for them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like some of your best your ace pitchers, they have the particular catcher that they want. That has to be that guy. And I'm sure, they may ask Caleb, what feels better to him. But at the end of the day, the guy, you know what I'm saying, if the guy that's put in charge of being the center, if he can make all the calls, if he can get to his blocks, in the right time and be an impact with his block and make an impact with his blocking and with the line calls, Caleb's gonna have to adjust to that guy.
Yeah,
know what I
no,
mean?
yeah. What do you think about that, Buck?
I think he'll probably have some input, but it's going to be the line coach that makes that call for sure. But it'll have a lot to do with uh, how Caleb and the center work together. I mean, that's going to be a lot of what the coach weighs in on. Um, you surely don't want a guy that you know they don't have that connection and dropping balls here and there. That's not the guy the line coach is going to pick. You know what I'm saying? He's going to pick the guy that can block and do the things he needs to do on the line, but has good connection with Caleb, and they got their shit together under center. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely have to have that all dialed in and working for you. I just got to know, like, like, and this goes back to what Darius was leading off with. Like, that is like some uncomfortability when you go look at the right tackle. When you go look at Tevin Jenkins, you're like confident, right? Like, oh, okay, well, let's put a little asterisk next to Tevin. Healthy. You stay healthy, we're golden. You know,
Oh,
you,
he's staying healthy this year, guys. Don't worry about it. He's gonna be in
contract,
every
yeah.
game.
Well, look at Wright wasn't even healthy like through some of it, and he was blocking with his right hand and pancaking folks with the one right
He
hand.
was.
He's like, all you need is a spatula to make pancakes, and that's one handed. I'm like, dude, he was like freaking just boom. I'm like, oh my god, dude, that's crazy. Decleating
Yeah, you
folks.
you
So
guys can stop all that. Uh, Jenkins, he's going 17 games.
I hope so.
No
I hope
injuries
so.
this year.
I
What
hope
about
so.
Nate? What about Nate the Great or Nate the Ain't?
Oh
What's
God, I just hope that guy can play to his ability, because he he hasn't shown us much, and I'm pulling for him. He supposedly, if he plays to his ability, he'll be one of the best linemen we got. But boy, we ain't seen that from him.
Ed, you've been on both sides of the tape, right? You've played. Well, let's get a little like deep into this. You've wrestled, you played football, you've even been in the industrial athlete as scaffold builder, extreme, extraordinaire. Like you know what it's like to show up every day, punch the clock, and be there, even when you feel like you don't want to be there. But like that is very important. And that's what we were talking about earlier is being there, being in their spot, showing up and being a part of the whole deal and just being a part of like this whole growth. What's up,
Hey, look
Dustin?
at
How
the
you
head
doing,
on
buddy?
that.
What up?
That's
How
what
we
Hey,
doing?
up.
Dustin.
Hey, Buck. What
So
up, Darius?
Buck, like Buck, what do you think about all of that? Like, is that where the frustration of a lot of people are coming out with this whole Tevin Jenkins and Nate, more so Nate, because we've seen Tevin do some amazing things. Like Nate just ain't really been there enough for us to see how good he is unless we follow the Tennessee Titans. And I'm sorry, Darius, I'm being as transparent as possible. I don't really follow Tennessee football. I'm sorry. So I don't know what the hell I've heard and I've seen and I've saw a little bit of like YouTube vid, but I ain't
Yes.
really like paid attention to this cat. So I mean, is that where you think some of this frustration is building up at, Ed?
Well, a
Yeah,
lot of it, a lot of it is due from the expectations. We brought the guy in and paid him a lot of money to perform. And he just hadn't been there for whatever reason. He just
Yeah.
hadn't been there. So I think it was just the expectations. People were expecting him to be what they paid him to be, and he's drawn up a big incomplete for whatever reason. Be it injury, family issues, or whatever. He just hasn't brought it on the field, and that's where that's where the disappointment comes from. And that disappointment, as long as he continues to disappoint, the frustration is going to grow. So
Yeah, what do you got to say about that, Ed?
Yeah, I was going to say Jenkins. I mean, he's missed time because of injuries, and you can't hardly help that. It's not like he's not been there anytime he was available or healthy, ready to go. Davis is a different story, and like was just said, we paid him a lot of money, $30 million, 3-year contract, and he ain't played. He ain't played to his best ability. He hasn't been available when he should be available, and I understand he's had some family problems and stuff. But that should be over, and then we see him not showing up to mini camps already again this year, and it ain't a good look for a man we're paying $10 million a year to play for us. So I hope he muddles through it and gets back on top of his game and plays to his best ability. Like I say,
Yeah, I'm over Nate Davis.
yeah. Well, I'm not
I
over
was
him,
over him
Dustin. I'm
last
just
year,
hoping.
guys.
I'm hoping for the best. But yeah, I get you.
I'm just done dealing with it, man. I want to see somebody that's going to be reliable, that's going to be out there, that that wants to get better with this team, that's about to really take a big step. I'm at work, man, and I'm so busy. Tracks. I really want to jump on and help, but I love you guys. You have a good night.
all right, take care.
All right, you too, brother.
Yeah.
You
I
good?
tell you, man. I tell you, see, that's the frustration. That's a frustrated guy right there. He's frustrated. You know what I mean? And and I listen. If an upgrade gets cut because of salary or before training camp, if there's an upgrade out there, I think Ryan Poles should jump on it. Because we don't need to get into training camp and this continues to be a story, man. Like
Darius,
I'm
in order
sorry.
to, I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said and hear me out because this, I think this is vital. But so you remember, like, we've been through like some years, like where we just had like an average or below average quarterback. He ain't really hitting, and we got the guy behind him, and he might be a little bit better. And we're just kind of like, this is just what the Bears do. This is like the quarterbacks that we expect and what we get, whatever. So like, in your offensive line, you get what you get because we've got this guy back here, and even if you're blocking for him, he's not gonna, whatever. Now you've got this dude Caleb, and you're like, okay, we've like invested a lot in him. We've let a pretty decent quarterback go down the road and didn't get much return. Now we're like investing a lot in the next possible situation that we are going to put ourselves in to get an early round quarterback that's worth something is not going to be as close as Caleb was. So my point is, you put investment in a guy like Nate. Okay, I get that. Let's put a pin in that. That's important. But you also put some, capital and investment in Caleb, a lot. And if you're not protecting your quarterback from mayhem, the guy that is going to be very expensive in the next 4 or 5 years, my point is that now you became the problem. If you're not there protecting our future, the guy that's galvanizing himself, the guy that's behind the freaking scenes, the guy that's there at freaking baseball games, basketball games, practicing in San Diego, practicing in Florida, practicing here, doing all this stuff, involuntary, voluntary. And then when it comes time for the veterans, voluntary, OTAs, and you're like, yeah, I'll come up like 1 or 2 times. I'm going to roll up 1 or 2 times. I'm going to protect my quarterback. I'm going to do that or whatever. Like that, what you just saw earlier, Darius, when Dustin came in, that's the frustration that he's feeling, brother, because now you're putting our guy, our future, in harm's danger because of your lackluster performance, your laziness, your personal whatever. You don't know what Caleb's got in front of him. You know, he might have a lot of pressure. He might have his own personal stuff. And so that's what I think we saw right there, you know.
And for Nate's own personal well-being, dude, if you ain't together, man, go get it together, man.
Get it right. Yeah.
Go get it together. Like that's listen, the first part of not having it together is admitting that you don't have it together. That's the first part of fixing it. So yeah, if you don't have it together, man, don't come out here on this football field. Like family and your mental health for your family, not your football family, but the family that you go home to is very important. So you have to get that part together first before you come out on the football field.
Hey, DeFuzz, and you're right to that point, but it's even like started before that. He, from what I gather, from what I heard on the score, was that he's even like shown this when he was in Tennessee. Like he just don't like OTAs.
Yeah, like
I heard that too.
They never really had
I'm sorry to cut you off, Trax, but listen, that's not the attitude that this football team needs.
No, we've been doing so much. And we got rid of some of our like favorite dudes that been there to Roquan, dude. Come on, man. Through all of it, there's guys that have been here that were ready, and they might have cost a little bit more. But I'm sorry, bro. If you're not, like you said, we got to have that attitude. We got to have the chemistry. We got to have all of that in the building. And if you're not providing that right now when we're trying to build our foundation, because I still think okay, people are talking like lofty expectations, Buck, and I already know how you feel about lofty expectations. You're just like curb that, let's bring it down a lot. But the point is, like, how could you not? You got 3 first string wide receivers on our team. Potentially on certain teams, we might have 2 first string running backs. And we might even go as far as to say 2 first string tight ends. We don't really know what we got and what this quarterback can unleash. So in the offensive scheme of things, with a top 5 defense who is even going to be better this year, right? Because we brought in a guy from Buffalo that said, hey, you know what? The Bears address that we don't blitz enough. We send our front 4 and the 4-3. We need to scheme out of that. We need to send a blitz from our linebackers, from our DBs, all of that. We need to send more heat because it's just not getting to what we need. We've got to do this, whatever. So then we go get Washington, right? Which is the opposite, not opposite, but you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
He is what, he's what Flus is not providing. Now they're going to work together and bring a little bit extra to make this defense better, balance, whatever. Right. So I think this is going to be great. And if this offense is even half of what it was last year, bro, how could you not be excited about all this? So I definitely see where people's frustration could be in a guy like Nate that's not showing up daily, putting in his due diligence and being there as a teammate and be like, hey, man. And guess what? I think this team could really be there for Nate if he is out and up front. And like you said earlier, Darius, honest, just come out with it,
Yeah, I mean, listen, it starts with the right attitude. I don't care what organization you're a part of. I don't care what teams you're a part of, from Pee Wee to high school, to college, or whatever. You have to have the proper attitude. I remember when I was young, getting dropped off, to practice when I was playing Pee Wee football. My dad wouldn't let me out the car unless I had the right attitude to get out there on the field. Because you're going to either hurt yourself or get someone else hurt. And it was the same thing in high school. Listen, if you don't have the right attitude, coaches used to say it, listen, if you don't have the right attitude, I don't want you out here on my grass.
Yes.
You know,
That's a
because
fact.
your selfishness is putting your team at risk. Now, you may look at yourself as one small cog in this big old thing, but, you know, in football, everyone matters. You know, every position matters. And you have a quarterback like Caleb, he needs protection. And Nate's responsibility is to protect the QB. But if he doesn't have the right attitude, man, listen, we got to find somebody that does. You know, because of the major responsibility of an organization is understanding where you messed up at and fixing it.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. It all starts about fixing it and making adjustments on the fly. And that was one of the things that they talked about was like, you know, the whole leadership as a whole not being like dialed in and just not, you know, like putting the blinders on and just let's move forward, like adapting on the fly, seeing problems, making adjustments and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's why Waldron and Washington were hired to, you know, get outside of that and make all that happen. Ed, what do you think about that?
I agree. You know, but it's all, you know, it's the field, it's the sideline, and it's the press box, the guys in upper management. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is how great organizations, you know, they're great on all three levels. You know what I mean? They're not just great on the field. You know, it starts at the top and it trickles on down from the sideline to the grass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
No. Yep.
and Ian Cunningham and Ryan Poles, they have to make a decision. You know, if Nate comes into training camp with this bull crap, man, you know, they're gonna have to make a decision. They're either gonna have to admit, listen, we messed this one up.
Yep.
Cut the cord and find someone else. You know, or you know,
The bad thing is we don't save we save a couple bucks, but our Nate's contract is it's got a kind of a built-in out in the third year next year, not this year. We'll pay him almost every bit of his money, even if we cut him this year. That's why you see people talking about, hey, cut him, get somebody else. Well, we might have to get somebody else, and we might cut him too, but you know, we're not just going to keep him on the roster because we owe money. We saw that with people before where we paid a bunch of money and let them play for somebody else and what have you. But I forget exactly what it is, what the dead cap would be this year, but it's like almost all of it. Next year we'd still have to give them $2 million, I think it is, if we cut them, but that's a whole lot less than 10. And but like Darius was saying, man, hey, if he ain't somebody better be doing the job at right tackle. If it ain't him, you're going to find somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
And personally, I think we already got him on the roster. I'm with I forget who you were talking to on another show, Brandon, but he was saying he liked Tevin Jenkins at right guard. And I do too. I agree with that, man. When we started last season, when Davis was out and Jenkins was with right on the right, they were clicking, man. They were really clicking. And I didn't think that they should have moved Tevin back over to the left side when Davis come back because they were doing so well together. And it was never the same on the right side the whole rest of the year. And I'll bet you any money if you ask right, he'd say, yeah, get my man Tevin back over here next to me. We had it dialed in. And I just, so for that, I just assume see Jenkins stay with right on the right side and let them figure out what they need to do over there on the left and leave well enough alone. And when you find something that works, you stick with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong. And I think that, you know, establishing a presence in that is important as long as you've got something equally or almost. It doesn't have to be exactly equal, respective on the oppo, but I do
It does
know.
in my book. I want 5 studs.
Well, I do too. And if you ain't got it, and Tevin is the best that you got at protecting the blind side of your quarterback, and your left tackle is already like question mark. I would rather have Tevin trying to help out that left tackle than keeping him out on the island, because I'm not necessarily sold on our left tackle at this point. I think he's a little light in the ass, a little light in the legs, a little light in the loafers, can't really anchor down, lets people kind of bull rush him and get past. And that was one of like the most simplest, Ed, you played, line and whatever, but that's one of the most simplest positions to work yourself and get, worked out. And he just hasn't been able to figure that out. Now, hopefully this year he can, but it's been my experience as a left tackle that if I have a left guard next to me that can, get that information and communicate from the center over what's going on, this and that, read, the pickups as far as the linebackers firing in, whatever, the mics and the wills and all of that, we have a situation where you can help me out on that island and really help our quarterback. And right now, my thing is like, let's go ahead and make that quarterback freaking stand upright. Because when we had Olin on the podcast, Olin Kreutz on the podcast last year, he said, run the ball left every time and you're going to get yards. And as soon as he said that, I was dialing my freaking self in and watching every time that they ran the ball to the right. Not so effective. When they ran the ball to the left, yards, man, insta yards. So if you're saying that Tevin is a good run blocker on the right side, I could see him, he's not going to stop being a good run blocker and a mauler on the left side. And he can also help out our left tackle even more so, especially since the center is a freaking huge question mark. You know what I mean?
We'll see, but there you go. You're looking for help for a left tackle that's not up to snuff. I want a stud at left tackle too.
I do.
And I got high hopes for that rookie.
I do too.
I do
too. And again, I can only go back on what I've heard, who's been in the building, we've interviewed or whatever.
Yeah.
And my experience at that position. And what I will tell you is, as a young buck coming up and as a rookie in being in that situation, you got to have a veteran next to you, man. I was with you as a rookie in carpentry, man. You got to have that guy next to you that's going to keep you out of harm's way, brother. I mean, even if you got skills, if you got the extension, if you got the strength, if you got whatever to make the job better, you've got to have a plan in place, because all you got is a bunch of horses running with no freaking plan. You know what I mean? You got to have that guy next to you that's got a plan, bro. You know what I mean? And that's what I want at left guard until we get your left tackle.
Well, isn't that cat we picked up from Buffalo supposed to be that guy?
At right guard, I believe, because he's
not at left.
Ryan, no, not well. He's played left, but more so right his whole career. More so right at his whole career.
Well, there you go.
But let me tell you what I don't want. I don't want this musical chairs at the offense.
No.
I don't want guys that's supposed to play tackle playing guard.
Nope.
I don't want guys that's supposed to be playing guard playing tackle. I don't want you moving nobody from from tackle to guard or guard to center and tackle to center. Like, nah.
That's how the Bears ruined Kyle Long.
We've been through a lot of those days with Matt Nagy and also with Trestman. Like, nah, man. We have to get continuity at the line. Wherever 5 we start with in training camp, let's hope that's the 5 that, starts
Well,
when you get to the
training
year.
camp and the preseasons where they got to dial that all in. But I'm with you. Once the season starts, I like to see them same guys.
Yeah. Because right now you got to know what you got. You got to, musical chair it, see who's hot, who's not, move it around, get all 50, get it all dialed in and all that. But I agree with Darius. You got to keep the continuity all the way through. But like Ed's saying, like in the OTAs, in the camps, all this stuff, preseason, like you really gotta like move some stuff around. So like that's gonna be a little uneasy for those people like us three that understand that you need to keep continuity on the defense and offensive side of the ball as far as the lines go. That's the most important structure that you gotta have. It all starts in the trenches. Us three. This is actually the best podcast to freaking talk about this because we've all been there. So like it's very crucial. It's very important. It all starts in the middle, and we're close, boys. We're close. We talked about this earlier. Austin Booker is going to be on the podcast. We're really excited about that, and
Fantastic, man.
I'm very happy to provide that, to be able to be there. Now, please don't call me out or show him this podcast where I was not really like an Austin Booker believer, even though Ed was freaking pounding the table when we were doing like the mock drafts and stuff. He was not on my radar. But like when you hear a guy, a champion, a proven guy like Sweat talk about how he's got speed, strength, agility, all that, and how he sees how he can be very valuable on our team, I'm like, sorry, bro.
I didn't see that. I'm glad to hear that.
I don't think Booker was supposed to be there that late.
He wasn't. He wasn't supposed to be there that late.
That was a surprise. He kind of fell in our lap.
I think a whole lot of this has to do with the COVID crap, boys. Like I've heard a lot about this, and I really haven't even spent and really paid a lot of attention to it. But the more that I hear of people that are not supposed to be picked, and it's not just like we're not talking about 2 or 3, 4 or 5 or 10, whatever. We're talking about like rounds where people are like picked a round later.
But every draft, man, it's there's some guys that slip through the cracks. Yeah. Every draft, every draft. In every round really is one guy, that kind of stands out, outside of the guys that that's been talked about for the whole, for the last maybe 1 or 2 years that going top 5 or top 10. Outside of those guys, it's guys that seem to slip through the cracks, man, and end up 3rd, 4th, 5th round gems. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was a little worried about our GM, and his whole like deal that he went through as far as, undrafted, all that kind of, and is that where he's going to look at? Is that where his focus is? And then, look at also, he went to the Chiefs, right? As a scout, right? And then also a director of player personnel, 3 in command, number 3 in command. He was pretty high up there. Mm-hmm. And where do they put all their energy and efforts in, boys? They're not going to look at the top 10 because the Chiefs are always in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They're always freaking winning games. Why would you even worry about those guys when you don't even have a chance of drafting them unless you take like player capital or draft capital and put it all together and spend a bunch and just, like that's not what they do. He's looking at the back end. So I'm like, is he ever capable of looking at the guys that we're able to go draft? Because we're not used to going and getting like freaking like the back end guys because we're not winning a whole lot. We're looking at like top 10, top 20. You know what I'm saying, Darius? So like, can he draft in that lane? And he's doing pretty good, man.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty good.
I think so.
He's shown he can operate in those areas.
Yeah.
Now
No,
he's
you're
shown
you're right.
a great deal, and like you said with the Chiefs, you know, ever since they got Patrick Mahomes, and even like before then, because they were a playoff team before Pat got there, but he just, you know, he just raised their level up. You know, he raised they're now Super Bowl champions now instead of just playoff participants, if you will. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Yeah.
Brandon, think about how you just described him and where he came from and what were they basically draft on a regular basis, and him being able to sit there and draft Caleb and Rome this year. How do you think he felt making them drafts, man? He had to be on top of the world, ain't it?
Did you guys? No. Ed, did you see that video where they were like showing where like Ian was like trying to get freaking Poles to chill the F out because he was like, dude, like, listen, man, listen. I think he's gonna come to us. I think we'll be all right. And Poles was like, are you sure? Are you sure we're gonna get a Dunze? Like, where do you think Rome? Blah 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 blah. And like Ian was like that balance where like he needed that dude to just kind of.
I'd like to see that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, and that was where when we like gave him like a 2-3 year contract extension, whatever, a lot of people are saying like, oh, we're gonna get a draft pick next year when Ian gets. I'm not sure Ian is ready yet. Ian will get that when his time comes. He knows that's coming, and some guys are comfortable in their own skin and building that resume and just being there and like, you know what, dude, you took a freaking chance on me and I took a chance on you and we're going to ride this out and see where it goes. And then I'm going to go ahead and pick them chips up because them chips are still going to be there. And I'm betting on myself. I'm going to be all right because I'm that dog that freaking kept you in the, you know, corralled and was like, hey, dude, don't freaking take some, because like how much draft capital did we have? Like it would have been next year's that we were mortgaging in order to do probably what freaking Poles was like thinking about doing to get a Dunze because he wanted a Dunze, dude. Like he was like,
yeah, couldn't believe that Atlanta pick.
Yeah, when you watch that video, you'll be like, whoa, he wanted a Dunze. Like that was his dude, bro. Like, and that's why I'm endeared about him and I'm excited about this whole thing where he's going to learn from, you know, DJ Moore. He's going to learn from the best, you know, shallow cross, you know, slot receiver in the NFL. Yep. And he's going to learn a lot of stuff. And we got 3 guys that are just going to be firing, bro. And like, that's the thing where I think our offensive line, Ed, I think Darius, our offensive line, and no disrespect to the quarterback that we had before, but it is what it is, right? I talked to some of the 85 Bears and I asked them questions, and I don't know if they felt like I was like trying to trap them up in like a bear trap or something or whatever, but they all had the same thing. It's like it's a performance-based league. If you don't perform, you're out of here. You know, that's what I got a lot. And I'm trying to tell you is like, I think like whatever was happening behind the offensive line, not only the offensive coordinator, but also possibly the quarterback. This offensive line, boys, might be a little bit better than we think it is.
Well, we gotta hope. We gotta hope so. And to me, that's our weak link. That's our only weak link right now. I do believe is the offensive line, and I hope to be proven wrong.
I want to take it back to Braxton Jones. I think this year could be a kind of a coming out party for him.
I hope you're right.
I think so. You know, because you know you have some guys that immediately make an impact, but you have some guys that kind of have to grow into the position. You know what I mean?
I do.
Braxton hasn't been terrible.
No.
You know, of course, if we can get, you know, a stud over there, by all means, we have to do the job and upgrade that position. But I think Braxton is growing with the team. And he hasn't been terrible enough where we don't, you know what I'm saying, where we have to get rid of him. But I think this is year 3, correct?
It is.
this is year 3, and you know, this is around the time when guys kind of grow into that spot.
Wait.
Year
He might
4,
be
ain't
year
it?
4 year 4 because I don't think that Poles drafted him. I think he came before Poles, right? Might
Nope.
be year 4.
No, Poles drafted him in the 5th
Poles
round his
drafted
first year.
First year? Okay.
He's 5th round pick, right?
Yep.
Yeah, 5th round. Yeah.
Yeah, 5th round pick. Yeah, Poles definitely drafted him, and I think this is year 3 here. So
Okay.
this is the time. Hey man, you know, this is the time. Let's give it a shot.
So this is the 4th year for him. So that would be
This will
the
be.
end of his contract. This will be.
Yeah.
We're saying the same thing. We're just, but
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have listen. We got a guy. We got a better guy at quarterback, a better passer of the football, a better guy that can process the field a little better, which means that he probably will get rid of the ball a lot faster.
Well, and Darius, to your point, we also have and no, like this is part of it too. The offensive coordinator making up the right plays and doing the right things. We all saw a lot of bum like play calls, like really, dude. Like I could have drew that up on a cocktail napkin after about 8 freaking Long Island's, a little better than what just happened there. Like, hey, guess what? Screen pass. Come on, boys. You know what I mean? So I think that was part of it that really like disturbed our former quarterback's production, whatever. But moving forward, like I really think you can't really judge our offensive line until we see the proven OC that we just got in the building, Waldron, and what he, draws up, whatever, sends that over to Caleb. And then if he doesn't even like what Waldron's got, or it doesn't even have to be that he likes it, it might be that he loves it, but somehow the play breaks down and now he has to opt out of that and make something out of nothing. And he finds himself getting back into the pocket, extending the play, getting back into the pocket, keeping his eyes down the field, surveying all of his receivers, and then hitting that dude for the gem just to get a first down. Or sometimes just throwing it out of bounds. Because honestly, boys, there was a lot of times where I saw the play break down and we'd even throw it out of bounds to save yourself from going from 2 and 9 to 3rd and 18. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because honestly, the whole thing about it is as an offensive lineman, and you guys know, is like if you see like the play is like you busted your ass. And I'm telling you right now, as an offensive lineman, we don't practice like that. We don't practice like the whistle's going to be blown like 3 minutes later when the quarterback finally figures it out and the receivers finally, you know what I'm saying? Like we're just like, block, whistle, and then the play, the practice play is over. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's very discouraging, and you feel like you're just hitting your head up against a wall when you don't see any production. 3 and out, backup punt, and then now way back here, whatever. Like a lot of that stuff's going to change when you see some production, moving the ball, plays going right, and you're like, all right, I'm making a difference. These blocks matter. You know what I mean?
And hey, let's not forget. Let's not forget. We signed Mercedes Lewis back.
Yes,
sir.
At tight end number 3. He's going to help the tackles out tremendously, or just help the line out as a whole.
Absolutely. That was a good one. I liked seeing that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they told him, hey man, just let us know if you want to play another year, because he's old, man, but you want to go another year, we got you, man, because he's the best blocking tight end still at his age in the league by far.
They threw some numbers up, man, and it was no joke. Like PFF, like really gave him a whole lot of. It wasn't, and to your credit, Ed, it was blocking, but there was some other stuff. Like he really held it down for the, for the tight end position. I just don't know what the hell happened with Tonyan, because you go back and you look at him with the Packers. when we got that guy, the Fabio looking guy from the Packers that caught all them balls from freaking Rodgers, I thought we were like, okay, cool, dude. This is
Yeah,
a lot.
I
This
thought
is
so
a number
too.
2 tight end.
He wasn't very good.
Tanya got over here and left his camp in Green Bay.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Seems
But
to happen
moving
to us on a regular, but
Mercedes loses going to be he's very sneaky in the red zone as well.
oh yeah, I love our tight end group. Love our receiving group. Love our tight end group. Love our running back group. If we had a stellar line, and like I say, I'm still hoping and praying that they prove me wrong. I do believe they're our weak link, but man, we ain't never had an offense like this.
Yeah, it's a lot of things that go into successful line play. I mean, of course, the 5 guys in front of is very pivotal, but there's a lot of things that the quarterback can do, and also the scheme can do to kind of like hide some of the deficiencies of the offensive lineman. But it's all about the coordinator and the quarterback, man. And I think everything else will follow suit, but as long as the lineman can do the fundamental things, and they each offensive lineman, even the great ones, they have flaws. You know what I mean? Some of them, some of the great, they've been great offensive tackles that couldn't handle speed rushers. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So it's all about the scheme and understanding where you're weak at and doing things to kind of devising your scheme to kind of hide those things. Because every NFL team and every position, there are flaws. But a lot of the best play callers, the best ones, they do things to hide the deficiencies of their team.
Well, you have to.
Unfortunately, everybody can't be a stud.
No,
they can't.
And even the studs can't be studs all the time, because at some point they're going to break down and be outstudded, and they're going to also need a little bit of energy to, regroup themselves, revitalize themselves, and get themselves, ready to go back to where their original, going power is at. And it doesn't happen. You're just not that guy on every play. There's very few people on this earth that's ever walked that can be that dude every time, all the time. That requires a lot,
Yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, I remember when DC had the Hogs.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Washington.
In a perfect world, if we can have an offensive line like that,
holy moly, yeah.
that'd be wonderful. But unfortunately, they're going to be weak links on the offensive line. That's just how it is. But
and even with our defensive line, we get past Sweat. Ain't nobody really like pounding the table like, oh my God. They're starting to get behind, one guy, 2 guy, whatever. But Sweat's the dude. Maybe Gervon, Dexter is the other dude, but I mean, that's the same way as our offensive line. We get excited at Darnell at right tackle. Outside of that, Tevin when he's healthy. But I mean, there's really not an excitement across the whole damn thing on both sides. But what I will share this with you, boys, is this. If that quarterback is that dog and he can make freaking, chicken salad out of chicken, I really think that a lot of those people are going to play outside of their ability and look better than they are, and actually start to play better than they are, and see a whole different side of themselves. And that's where I think we have a hard time as Chicago Bears. Not that we're stupid, not that we have a low level IQ, but we don't really comprehend what that looks like, because make no mistakes about it, Rodgers pounded the table for years about how they never went and got him a first round a wide receiver to help him out. And they just keep building this formidable defense, and he really didn't see it. And why should he? Because he's not a GM. He's a quarterback. Throw the damn ball, stupid. So my whole point is that really, like, you know what I mean? It just there's a whole lot to it that we haven't seen, Darius. And I just want people to be ready to be like, oh, like your eyes were not messed up last year. It's just a whole different look this year. You know what I'm trying to say?
I'm ready for it.
I think he froze. Or
He
just
froze.
like, yeah, he froze.
I think he did froze.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm ready.
I hope you're right, Brandon. I hope we do get bright-eyed when we see that line come out, because like I say, that's what I'm scared of. I'm scared that we once again haven't done enough to fix that problem. That's always been our problem, dude. You talked about some quarterbacks that we had recently that didn't quite, one was mediocre, I think you called them, or just wasn't quite good enough to get it done. I'm here to tell you, our past several quarterbacks have been more than able to get it done. We haven't put a good line in front of them. I like Justin. I like Trubinsky. You and I argued many times about the trading up. And who knew, we was going to miss a Patrick Mahomes there. Not many people had any idea Patrick was going to be what he was. Mitch wasn't bad. Mitch, if you remember correctly, in his first year starting from the beginning of the year, we went to the playoffs, and it wasn't his fault that we didn't win in the playoffs. Even he led us back on a game-winning drive, and Parkey missed a chip shot field goal. But our problem hasn't been quarterbacks. It's been the offensive line. Now we were, Post tore the thing down. We all know that. He tore the whole thing down and started building it back up. He stuck with Justin until recently, but he never really gave Justin all the tools, and he was limited in what he could do, how fast he could do it. I understand all that, but then now finally we get them tools, and I know, like you said, it's a timing thing why we let Justin go and we got Caleb, and hopefully Caleb's everything that we think he is, and everybody seems to think he is, but I still haven't seen enough draft capital or equity from our big purses that we've had the last 2 years, and cap space, put towards that offensive line. So I'm hoping for the best, but I'm not confident in what we got.
Too, in order to piggyback off of what you said, Ed, because there's something that we've been missing, running back. And and we all know what happened in the Super Bowl. One of our key running backs went down. If we were able to keep that running back upright, I don't think that Rex Grossman would be throwing the football at third down and throwing it into a third string cornerback Kelvin Hayden and him taking it back to the house. I mean, that game was very, very close. Hester running it back right after Ohio State ran it back right off the kickoff. That was very impressive. But what happened next was it was very close. And I'm actually very impressed with our defense and how well they kept Peyton at bay and how bad our offense actually, responded, because we really could. And again, if we kept our offense, if we kept our running back healthy, if he didn't get injured and we had both of them, we had Benson, we had Thomas, both in there the whole game, I think it would have been a different outcome. but that's just me. And that's why I'm glad. That's why I'm glad, Darius. That's why I'm glad, Ed, that we have a full complementary backfield with probably 3 running backs, maybe 4, that could potentially like go to several teams in the NFL and start. So this is good that we didn't just, blow our wad on receivers and quarterback and whatever. Like we've actually got some offensive, running backs that can, keep it even. You know what I'm saying, Darius?
Yeah. To go back to that Super Bowl, oh, that's a terrible memory. That's a terrible memory.
Sorry, bro. Sorry.
But I think our offensive coordinator kind of lost that one for us because we understood the quarterback we had. Now,
exactly.
Not saying that Rex was the worst thing that we ever had, but he was so up and down. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think we kind of got ahead of our skis where we felt like we had to compete with Indianapolis as far as the air game, and we didn't we didn't continue to slow the game down. And Cedric Benson fumbling didn't help.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So
and for a guy that just basically didn't fumble.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, kudos to Bob Sanders. He put a good hit on the ball, and made him cough it up.
And Bob, before that defense got Bob Sanders back, he was a spark plug. He was that dog because that team had 32nd in the league with rushing defense. When he came back in, he cut it in half. They were like 15, 16 in the league. So that dude was that dog. He came back at the right time. The majority of the season, he spent oft injured, and he came back at the right time, galvanized that team. That team played entirely different, just like when we had Mike Brown. You know what I mean? He was very important.
Having Rex chunking that ball in the rain.
Oh. You got to run the ball in the rain, man. You don't want to throw that. You don't want to have Rex. Sexy Rexy only looked good when he was in freaking pajamas or freaking shorts and, Haynes throwing the ball in the freaking, spring training and stuff. He looked like the best quarterback ever.
Now,
put pressure on him, different,
I'm going to tell you something. Rex out the play action, throwing that deep bomb to Bernard Berrian.
Yeah.
It wasn't a better hey, Chicago ain't seen a better sight than that one, man.
No, I'm not saying that you're wrong on that, bro. I'm not saying
but
pick your places for him. He's situational, but all the way around, no.
Because mentally he just didn't have it.
And that's where people wanted the guy from Purdue, Kyle Orton.
Kyle Orton,
because he was more mentally prepared,
Yeah, he was in tune with he kept his emotions pretty even. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you couldn't really like if you didn't know what was going on, you couldn't tell if he was having a bad game or a good game.
Guys, it looks to me like I'm going to change gears really quick coming out of that Super Bowl and everything. Looking at the Sox, it doesn't look like that one's looking good right now. The Cubs lost. The freaking Chicago sky is downward spiraling. The Bulls are the Bulls until we have a draft, like literally right before July 1st. I think it's June 28th, 29th is when the draft comes. I mean, really, we're talking about the pearls of Lake Michigan right now.
Yeah.
The saving face of the freaking franchise. And I've got people commenting, inboxing me, mailing me, talking to our administrators about why we are Bears centric more than any other team in Chicago. I don't understand why we wouldn't be, because we're trying to keep it like we're trying to keep it like positive as best as we can, man. And this is all we really got, man. I really thought that a couple things were going to head in our direction. The way that the Cubs were starting off, Ed, the way that the sky was like, the sky's not falling, but they are falling.
They got them two badass draft picks themselves.
Yeah.
Listen, man, people know regardless of what other team does well in the city of Chicago, Chicago will always be a Bears town.
That's
Always
right.
be a Bears town. I mean, we had the best basketball player in the world playing in Chicago.
Yeah.
And you know, he garnered a hell of a lot of attention, but it was still a Bears town.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. And like I said, I'm still excited about Caleb. I'm still excited about, the Sky, because obviously the 2 draft picks that we got, I think it's great. And then we got 2 draft picks because oh man. Sorry, I'm in the garage. There's we got a Dunze, and we got Caleb, we got Camilla, and we got Angel. Like, we're really rocking, man. It's looking good. So, like, just hang in there, folks. Just hang in there. We're not, hey, Ed, Darius, myself, we're not out there playing Chicago sports. You can't blame it on what we have to provide for you.
And don't get me wrong, I love to talk Chicago Bulls. I love to talk basketball talk.
Yeah.
I love to talk Bulls talk. Like, I don't particularly trust Karnisovich and them guys over there with the draft process. I don't trust them. I don't.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I thought AK was going to come over from Denver, and he was going to provide all of the 10 years, the decade of dominance and all that, playoffs, whatever. Everything was going to be great. But let's face it, if he didn't get that second round center, that is a freaking beast. Like, the beast from the East, it just doesn't even freaking matter. Or the West, Denver's West. Yeah. So what I'm getting at, without getting at it, is that the thing about it is like that in of itself is like that dude. Like, we had Rose. Like, you take Rose off that team, what did we have? You know what I mean? You take certain people off a team, and they're just not the team that they were. So like, I don't know, man. Like, AK might not be that dude, Darius. I hate to say it. I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but it's not looking good, bro.
Hey, man, the facts are the facts, man. I'm sorry. Now,
Yeah.
I think, injuries played a great part in it, but as when you're a part of upper management, it's your job to be prepared for those things. They lost me when they drafted Patrick Williams. I'm sorry. Like, Patrick Williams, he may be good somewhere else. He may have been, or he probably should have been good for someone else. But there's no way, even when they drafted him, there's no way you can convince me that that was the right move at number 4. Okay. Like I said, the injury with Alonzo Ball and what we had around him at that time, it hurt. But we haven't done anything, we haven't been able to do anything to make an impact, outside of it. Like, we brought in DeMar, we brought in Zach, but those parts are not going to work without somebody guiding the ship. Like, the point guard is just as important as the quarterback. And if you don't have one of those, if you don't have a guy on the team that can, stabilize the group, it's not going to work. So,
well, I will tell you this much: there'll be some opportunities where we are going to have a live watch party for not only the Sky but for the Bulls, obviously on separate occasions. But I would definitely like you to spear that on, Darius, because that would be a good opportunity for you to get some of that underneath you. And I think it'd be fun, man. But like I said, we've got dude, what was it? Was it last night? We were playing like one of the worst teams in WNBA, and God's honest truth. Up until this year, WNBA was not on my radar, and there's a couple reasons why they are on my radar. Some of it's skill. The other reasons, my wife's already figured it out. She's like, she's like, hey, listen, you've never paid attention to WA up until this year. What's going on? I'm just like, oh, they look like men. Don't worry about it. Some of them probably got beards in there. I don't know. I don't even really pay attention. I'm just watching the ball. Like, whatever.
I can honestly watch. I can watch anybody play basketball. I can honestly watch anybody play basketball, and I've just never had a real rooting interest as far as the WNBA is concerned. I mean, I'm familiar with the players and everything, and I understand there's a whole lot of greatness going on. But as far as the Sky is concerned, I think things are trending up. They got two young ladies there that can definitely move the needle.
They just won the championship in what, 21, 22?
Yeah.
21?
Yeah,
so I mean, yeah. And then they got another coach that's upbeat, whatever. I'm just getting at is that I really do think, and then the Blackhawks, whatever, the Cubs are not far off. Everybody sees what the problems are. And the fact that they started off hot and then now everybody's just like, what the hell? Like that tells you right now that there's something there. They're not like the Sox where they're not like the Sox where they started lethargic and still are, so it just hang in there, peeps,
Well, the Real Cats can play with the Sox from what I understand.
Let's go Real Cats. Gary represent. Let's get the Gary Golden Bears back in there, man. That's where we could play us three. Like, let's go.
No, we can't.
No.
I think I broke a hip.
I mean, unless anybody's got anything, I say we close it up, man. We've done beat up Chicago sports quite a bit well tonight. I think everything's been pretty much well covered, whatever. And like I said, it's going to be a minute before we get back in there and we see some, Chicago. Now, they're going to come up with some, some headlines that we'll be able to unpack and talk about. But as far as like, the OTAs and whatnot, we're going to have to put a pin and pause it and wait for a little bit and then, come back.
Hey, Brandon, let me shoot one thing out there before we close it out though. Did you see that thing I just sent? I think I posted it in the
about the special teams where we signed the special teams guy.
Yeah. I forget the cat's name, man, but he's a wide receiver / punt and kick returner. A good one. Now, I like that. I like that, and I think that signs that they're done with the versus Jones experiment.
Good old Vegas, huh?
Here it is. Scrolls.
Vegas.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Scrolls.
versus
DeAndre Carter.
Yeah.
Scrolls,
DeAndre Carter. Yeah. He's a good one, man.
Yeah. He's pretty good.
And you know what that tells us? When they go out and get a punter, they signed a contract extension to Santos. They go out and they get these return guys, and they go out and get guys like Brandon Iambadagio, and not that they signed him because he's not available anymore. But my point is they've got guys in there that are special teams guys that are going to go be those guys, and they're going to make the field shorter for Caleb and the offense. They're doing their due diligence and realize that you can't just put a first round top 10 quarterback and say, okay, make it happen.
Yeah.
You're responsible for special teams. You're responsible for the special teams deficiencies. You're responsible for the coaching and the coordinators deficiencies. You're responsible for the offensive line. They did and just really built in this, and it feels good. It feels like we're gonna.
It just shows the commitment. It just shows the commitment to be great in all three phases, man.
Absolutely. That punter's been killing it in camp.
That's what the organization is supposed to do, man.
Bro, I'm going to ask you guys a question, honestly. What the hell's going on with the stadium? Like, we'll finish this up with that. I don't think so either.
Hot air.
Hey, Soldier Field's still up, right?
Yep.
Hey, that's what we're worried about. We'll worry about the other stuff later, man.
Yep. Still,
Okay.
I think
All right.
our contract with the city is till 2030, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll worry about the other stuff
Yeah,
later.
we ain't sweating that, man.
You know, because
That's hot air. That's all hot air right
we
now.
talk about that, man. You know, they got pictures and all this stuff of what they think is gonna look like and all that.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just focused on the now with that.
Pictures of what it would look like where they know that ain't gonna get a okay to build it there. All hot air.
But Ed, you know, only some places that will call you the day of something that needs to be built that takes time for days to get built. There's only a couple places that do that, and we're not talking about a day. We're talking about years to get this thing up and going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at some point, somebody's got to show us their damn freaking cards. You know what I'm getting at?
Well, somebody's got to put a shovel in the dirt somewhere, but that ain't happened yet.
No, yeah,
I'm leaning towards Lake Street Beach and Miller.
Miller, Gary, yeah, near Gary, Indiana.
Hell yeah. We could do a whole show on that. I got all kinds of information on that. We ain't got time for all that mess right now, but yeah, that could happen. It almost happened before.
Hey, if freaking what Aurora? Was that the one that chimed in today? They tagged in and they said that they got a spot. Let's take a look at it. You know.
Oh, everywhere's got a spot they want to put them. Everybody wants them.
Yeah, and that's why Kevin ain't got time for just regular stuff anymore, because that in of itself is probably several conversations throughout the day. You know.
Yeah, I think with the draft being over, everything like that, I think Kevin needs to switch his focus on figuring out where they're gonna drop, where they're gonna start digging at.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, Cheryl, thank you for the updates for the White Sox. They're up on the Mariners right now, 2-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. Brett Kimball says looking like the televised slideshow was a big nothing burger. So, yeah, I mean, it's all like you guys were saying. It's all rhetoric. It's all talk. You know, there's nothing out there that's substantial. Let's focus on what we got in front of us.
Yeah.
Keep our blinders on, and go Bears. So,
hey, if we build a winner, on the field.
Yeah,
that may make them want to build a field for the winners. You know what I mean?
It sure helps.
So it definitely helps.
Hey, I kind of would like he was talking about a roof and it would be cheaper and all this and that, Kevin. I kind of would like a retractable if we're gonna at least do that, because it's nice to let the good days in. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Or let the bad weather in. If you want to. All right, we're playing soldier style today.
Oh, we got a quarterback from California or Florida.
Yeah, San Fran coming in. It's 20 below.
We got that special punter.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Hey, thanks so much for answering the bell, and bear down, Chi-Town up. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
One more thing before we go.
Yep.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, listen. I want to give my guys a shout out. Q,
please,
BJ, and Pinky. Shout out to those guys that couldn't be here tonight for great reasons. What I understand. I'll catch up with you guys in the coming weeks. And it's a pleasure working with you guys tonight. Ed,
you too, man.
This is our first time. This is my first time meeting Ed, and it was a pleasure working with you all tonight.
You too, Darius.
Yep.